Hi, are you a shareholder of a corporation, just realizing that your corporate documents are out of date or not current? I'm Katherine Taylor, the lawyer for business owners. I'm going to explain to you how you can figure that out and what to do if, in fact, your corporate documents are out of date. Now, I'm referring to corporations and not LLCs. But corporations under most statutes in the country, and certainly under Maryland law where I practice, are required to have certain corporate documents in order to be validly formed and then in order to validly operate in the future. I've done a previous video about what it takes to form a corporation. So for a corporation to continue to validly operate under the statutes on an ongoing basis, the shareholders and the board of the corporation are required to have annual meetings, and minutes of those annual meetings are required to be drafted and maintained in the corporate documents. Now, the shareholder, the biggest obligation of the shareholders is just to elect the board. And then the biggest obligation of the board is to elect officers. And generally, the officers then are the people who run the company. Now, and obviously, this applies whether you have one shareholder or 20 shareholders. And it sounds silly sometimes having a meeting with one person, but if that's the case, then you can draft basically what is called a consent in lieu of a meeting. But in any event, again, the shareholders and the board are required to have annual meetings, and minutes of those meetings are required to be drafted and maintained in the records. What happens if, for some reason, you're looking at your corporate documents? Maybe your company's entering into commercial lease, and the potential landlord has asked for the latest minutes or your articles of incorporation, or they want to know who the officers are. Maybe you're selling assets or entering into a loan agreement, and the lender wants to see the most current corporate documents. If you go back to your book of documents and realize you haven't done anything for 10 years, it's not a fatal mistake. Fortunately, and we do this very often, we can do what is called kind of in common verbiage, a bring to date. So what we will do in that situation is we will ask you to provide us all of the documents that you have. We'll look those over and let you know what needs to be there. And we don't backdate. We don't go back and create documents and just backdate them. We do what is called a ratification resolution, which is where either the board or the shareholders ratify all those acts that were taken in the past by either of those bodies to basically make them legal now. It requires a little bit of time to go through not only the documents you have, but to also ask the officers or managers of the company what's actually been happening in practice, because we want to make sure that what's happening in practice has been approved and even on a ratification basis is approved. But once we get all that information, we draft those documents and get the proper people to sign those, then your company is basically up to date in terms of its corporate documents. And then from then on, you need to make sure you keep those up to date on an annual basis. If you have any questions, give us a call, email us. Contact information is below, and don't forget to subscribe because we have a lot of videos that are helpful to owners of small businesses. Thank you.